This Nolan character, jeez Louise.
Yeah, that was good. I completely forgot that he was in the movie until he showed up again.
Shot for
But
two
yeah,
days. That character's so odd to me because he doesn't look like he's suffered at all there.
yeah, he's got all of his limbs intact,
Yeah,
no scars,
not emaciated.
eating well,
Yeah.
eating very well.
So is he cannibalizing people?
You got to think that he is. They never went into what he was eating. I mean, do they do supply drops on the planet for either
Like
predators or
biscuits?
people
Did they
like they
drop
did
biscuits for him? Or
like
like
they,
what are Yautja
like they
eating?
did Lost, like the Dharma Initiative coming around just dropping tubs of ranch, and things every so often. Like what's going on? But if not, I mean, he's got to be cannibalizing. He knows the cycles of the seasons. He knows kind of what to expect with the drops and the parachutes. He knows not everyone's going to make it. So is he out there just like crossing his fingers, hoping that a chute doesn't deploy and then he can eat for like 6 days?
So if Nolan killed them all, what do the three hunters think? Like, what happened to him? Oh, we lost him. Like, but you know what though? There is a random creature which is based on the design of the original Predator running around, which they just snipe.
Oh yeah, the little like cockroach thin
Was
man
Jean-Claude
thing.
Van Damme in it?
Yeah.
Because he
No.
was, you know that, right?
What was that? What about
Jean-Claude
Jason?
Van Damme was originally in Predator, the first one. You didn't know this? And they
I
had
did.
him in an outfit, and he was a very athletic, weird-looking creature. And they shut down production, and they had Stan Winston come in and make the Predator. But Jean-Claude Van Damme was in Predator.
Wait a minute. You're telling me we could have had Spin Kick Predator and we missed
Yes,
out on it?
yes.
Got so
You-
after he killed something, we had got a nice long yeah.
yeah. So he would have had to have gotten his butt kicked for the first 5 minutes of the fight. And then the person he's fighting just completely falls apart, forgets how to fight, and then
Do
he
you,
comes back and wins.
do you think? Do you think he would have remembered his training from years ago? Do you think that maybe that's why Jean-Claude Van Damme dropped out? He's like, I have to die in this. I have to lose. No, I'm out.
Well, the costume just looks silly. Look it up. You look up
I'll have to now.
JCVD Predator. It is
I'm gonna do it
silly.
right now.
It is very, very, very silly. But
We can't just leave something like this hanging without me commenting on it.
no, true
JCVD.
story. But I do like how the Predators are killed in this. And once again, you don't, aside from The Predator, which just came out,
Mhm.
before this, like they weren't really killed by gunfire. So I like that Walton Goggins shivved one, didn't kill it. I like that Hanzo gets a kill. I like that Nikolai gets a kill. Because I think Nikolai, my favorite characters in this are probably Nikolai, Hanzo, and Isabella. Because Royce is alright, Edwin's alright, I like Goggins, but nah. Mahershala Ali Mombasa doesn't have enough to do in this.
Yeah.
But I love that my favorite characters are the ones who kind of get some good kills. I mean, Braga doesn't get a kill, but she does kill an alien. She kills a few other things, so she's super cool.
Yeah.
But also, too, I just want to get this out there. If I'm going to rate all of these movies, I'm going to go Predator, then I'm going to take Predator. I just made those noises. Predator, the recency bias, AVP, Predator 2, then I'm going to do Predators, then I'm going to do The Predator, and then I'm going to do AVPR for these movies. That's my ranking of it. Are you finding anything here on JCVD?
I did, and I was waiting for you to get there before I said it. That is just strange. Like, that's strange. That looks so different and just kind of goofy. And the picture I saw, well, I found two pictures. One of him, like, actually in the suit, where, like, the head is up and you can see him. And then another one where this weird predator thing is right in front of Carl Weathers missing an arm. That is funky. Yeah, I never knew that. That is weird. Oh, why he left Predator? Ooh, I'm gonna have to come back.
So I got Nathan on Skype here. We don't release the video, but you're really into that right now. You're gobsmacked. It makes me happy to see that.
It's just so, what does it remind me of? It reminds me of like a strange, just like monotonal Pokemon. Like my kid is watching a bunch like is Pokemon crazy. It's Pokemon household over here. So she's playing the games and watching the cartoons and doing all that stuff. And it just like, it's lanky. It's weird. It has just like a really long neck that curves up over under the head where it almost has like black manta eyes with just like those really big kind of like oval eyes going in weird directions. And it's fun. It reminds me of a Pokemon, but like a really kind of one that's trying to be real scary, but it doesn't have a whole lot of color.
I'm very happy that they switched the design because listen,
Absolutely.
I gotta tell you, when the classic Predator fights the Super Predator, they take off their masks. I mean, K&B does an excellent job on this, and the creature design for what they were able to do. And listen, I do love this world. I mean, I know it's silly what we're talking about with the scouts, but there are scouts. There are 100% scouts.
Absolutely.
So
you know what you come up with if you don't think there are scouts, you come up with a different argument about how they find these people and the hierarchy in the predator system and the lowest of the low being scouts because they don't get to kill anything. They just find people for other predators to kill. That's got to be the worst thing in their whole society.
yeah, but I do like this movie. I think the 64% is fair. Do you think the 64% is fair?
I think it is. I think there's a lot of stuff you can find about this movie. Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, that's 64%, that's over. So a lot of people find things they enjoyed about it. If you go into it just taking it for what it is, not expecting a big, huge character development arc and like all this stuff, it is a lot of fun. There are definitely things that bug me about it. I mean, I mentioned about the hail of bullets not hitting anything, and then the other thing was you had Nikolai blow up a predator with all of his explosives, and it was like, oh, he's dead, killed, done, no question if it's alive or not. And then you had Adrien Brody at the very end that kind of set up his grenade trap using Topher Grace's body, and there were like 7 or 8 grenades.
Yeah.
That he strapped onto him, and it blew him back and had that nice like throw. Shouldn't he have been killed with that?
Yeah, none of that shrapnel. So this Super Predator does have
a shiv. Yeah. If a prison shiv can pierce the skin, and like stab, and produce blood and all this stuff, and this other one gets hit with 8 grenades point blank, and it doesn't do anything, it just kind of knocks him for a loop. You're like, oh man, that was ooh. It just, that was another one that kind of bugged me a little bit. But
that's why I love Predator 2, because the Predator loses an arm in that. And then so the final fight, it's more believable. It's on level terms. And I like Predator. We talked about that on a Final Fight episode where the Predator just shellacks Arnold. But then it gets led into a trap, like with its own hubris. Yeah. So I do think that, something should have happened. Like, it should have blown out a knee. I don't know, something. Because
or just like done major damage, like major internal damage. Like he was knocked for a loop, but once he got his bearings back and found Brody, he was like, knocking the shit out of him and like going through all the stuff. And it was just like, okay, all right. I don't know. There was just something like an explosion killed the Predator. An explosion doesn't kill the Predator.
Yeah, that was a bit odd. But at the end of the day, though, I guess, what I think is tough, Nathan, where we watch Predator, the first one. We watch Alien. You watch these classics of cinema. And then when a sequel doesn't attain... Like, Jordan... I don't know. Like, Kobe scored 80 plus... 78 points in a game, 80-some points in a game.
Mm-hmm.
For every other game in his career, no one went, oh, that game sucked because he didn't score 78 points. So, we watch movies like Predator. We watch movies like Alien. And then you're like, that movie isn't as good. Or that movie's that's no Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's no The Dark Knight. That doesn't happen much. So I think if we look at Predators on its own, it's a totally fine HBO TNT picture.
I agree. And it's so hard in those franchises that were so, like you said, iconic and classic. That you have Alien, that you have Predator, that you have these, very good, very enjoyable, even though like some may be a little, you can even look at Predator and be like, well, that was goofy, a little bit here and there, but it had such an impact, was so widely, accepted and well received. And you're trying to, in a sense, when you're doing a sequel, to recreate that magic. Right, regardless of how long it's been since the previous movie.
It won't happen.
So you're trying to recreate that same magic. You're trying to do something different, so they're not saying, oh, it's just the same movie. And you're trying to, add to the lore of the Predator world, how they think, how they act. Now there are scouts. We just added this to the lore. I'm proud of us. But yeah, it's trying to do all these new things because you had Arnold that just fought this monster, killed it, and he survived. And then you
Wow.
go to Danny Glover, and then you found out that how long they've been there, and there's so many more of them, and they come back every so often, right? And he hands them what was like the flintlock. The
Yeah.
flintlock pistol is a hey, here's your reward. And then you go into AVP, and now it's this, oh, this is how they earn their weapons.
They used to
So
build
it's
temples. Like,
yeah,
how much
yeah,
money do they have?
yeah. They don't have money. They had slave labor.
Oh, that's true.
So but yeah, so it's hard. It's hard because you want us as consumers and viewers, we want to have feel the same thing that we felt on these other movies. You want to feel the same way you felt when you watched Predator for the first time. You want to be surprised. You want to be on the edge of your seat. You want to have gasping moments. You want to have all this stuff and still be like, this is new. This is not the same thing, and have that sense of being fresh and something you've never seen before. And it's hard to have all that stuff kind of go in the same time, having expectations for what's come previously, or not having expectation for previously, but having such an appreciation from what came before, having an expectation of what you hope is to come, and then even if you're on board with everything that is in casting or plot summaries that you've seen or all these things or whoever's attached to it with directing, writing, cinematography, whatever, is it gonna add up? Is it gonna pay off? Because you could have the best team in the world and it just doesn't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, man. It's hard for any franchise that's been around for so long and has been so well received and is that now classic status.
I love what you had to say though, and I think if we're gauging Predators on a sequel meter, it it does enough to make itself different. It
Yes,
furthers the lore,
yes.
and it
It
hits
has
two.
enough throwbacks
Yeah.
that you have that appreciation and it gives a nod. You have
Oh,
Alice
it's
Braga's
so
character was talking about
yeah.
Dutch, how it came up, and she's like, oh, you know what it is, and she's like, yes, there were these reports of this. So you have that throwback to Dutch, and there were the certain moments that the Predator was using audio clips from Carl Weathers' character, and then oh goodness, I can see his face. What's the dude's name that kept shaving his shit? Why you shaving? You got no beard. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh,
what happened?
with
Some
just
fun.
the regular blade.
So yeah.
Well,
And
Bill
yeah, you had
Duke was his
yeah,
name.
yeah. And you had moments like the standoff with I'm just gonna face it with a blade or a knife or a sword. So there were a lot of things that happened that had those throwbacks. Is that good for some people? Is that
Oh,
bad for some people?
his
It
name's
can
Mac.
kind of go back. Mac, thank you, goodness. So upset that I couldn't remember Mac's name. And even then, you had the moments where like Mac was staring into the jungle. I see you, and then you had
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali when he just said he could see something, but he wasn't going to say it. Because maybe it was on my mind, or just stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think it definitely had enough throwbacks to have that appreciation. The
The
only
trap.
one, the only one that I wish didn't happen was at the very end where Adrien Brody shows up shirtless, covered in mud, and was just like, "I'm right here, kill me, come on." And I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
too much, too much." The line was here, you just barreled right through it. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. But I mean, they set it up to be that way. She was talking about he covered himself in mud. He did this. He was using, the fire to offset its heat vision. So it all made sense, but it was just that little too much of we've done this before. This is the same thing.
Yeah. It's
You
like
know,
what's homage and what's just sort of a reboot.
a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, but yeah, I guess that's why I think 64 is good. I think like so
yeah,
I would say 66. So it's like two-thirds of the way there. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
66.6. Well, I would just say or 66.633. But don't get me started. But I think once you
Point
get
six repeating mark.
yeah, it's
Gosh.
once you get it there, I think that yeah, 66% would be fine for me. If this was the Suicide Squad, 69, but I think 66% is good, and I enjoy this movie. I think there are some questions that you shouldn't want to ask during the movie. For instance, our scouting. That like these are questions you don't want to ask. but
If
it's
you
still
heard,
fun.
yeah, if you're sitting in this movie for the first time or any time in the theater, at home, whatever, and you have two jackasses that just start talking about like, how do these people get here? Do you think they have scouts like John Lovitz? Yeah, you're gonna just